Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to continue with our story. Our girl is now ready to go into a very fancy dinner and she has to take one very nice dress to it. So we're going to be doing this very nice vestido de festa, as it says right here. And let me tell you guys, it might seem like an easy thing, but it's actually really tricky. It's not difficult per se, but it's really tricky, especially because the patterns are not super clear, and you might get a little bit confused due to all of the overlappings that we have here. So here's where, again, it's a lot better for us, especially for us as 3D artists, to focus on the forms rather than on the patterns. Patterns are great if you're going to do this in the real world, but for the digital world, we can get away with doing this in other ways. So what am I seeing here? Well, it's a really tall neckline that we have right here, as you can see, and we have this like broad shoulders. Sleeves are easy, very simple pattern, and then we have this like flaring out. Now this one has a double amount of what's the word of cloth. Like it's a double section. Like you have this sort of fancy, soft, semi-transparent cloth on top of the basic garment. It's usually sewn on the same line, so I mean we can add that. Shouldn't be that much of a problem. But the shape right here, the way this dress like generates its curvature, here in Mexico we call it the mermaid suit or the mermaid cut. I'm not sure if that's the same name everywhere, which is the corte sirena. But the thing that you need to see here, and that's why I included this image for reference for you guys as well, is that on this side you're going to notice that we are going to have our main shape, and then from the main shape we're going to get this sort of like a wing. It's like a wing, right? And then on the back side we're also going to have all of these wings to create this very nice looking effect on pretty much all of the back side. So this cone that they're drawing right here, this is the cone that they're using to like insert it. Like it's just roughly the shape, right? I'm not sure if we're gonna be using all of the patterns here, but that's the that's the idea pretty much. So again, instead of having to worry about all of the different patterns, we're gonna focus on the main shapes first, and then we're gonna start tailoring all of the other elements. So let's say set this to 250. I think that's roughly a good amount. One of the things that that's important for this image is if you place this here on her shoulders, as you can see, we still need a little bit more length. The shoulders are pretty much there, but we're gonna need a little bit more length. So just keep that in mind, because the pattern right here, even if we like match the pattern, you're gonna see that we're not getting or going all the way down, and we definitely want to go all the way down on the character. So on this guy, or this dress, we're going to start with the main body right here. And we're going to follow the black line. Completely ignore the blue lines right here. We're going to follow the black line. So I'm going to go into the polygon, start here, do this, and then go here, pop. There we go. Let's start this again. So 1, 2, 3, let's do one more, 4. Then see this line right here. Actually, let's go to that point right there, and then we have this nice little curvature here. That's where some of the semi-transparent cloth is going to be. That's a straight point right there. It's going to be a nice division, and then we just try to follow this form right here as nicely as possible. At this point we can just go straight down. Let's go straight across and all the way down. Perfect. So this is going to be our front-facing pattern. We, of course, going to need to change a couple of things. If it's too wide, if it's too short, we're going to be adjusting all of that. But let's start with our basic preparation here. So we bring this here. As you can see, it quite fits our model. It's really close to the effect that we're going for, I think. The shoulder is definitely way too low, like this one. So this is the kind of things that the pattern will give us a initial configuration, but it's a lot better when we have this sort of silhouette, so that we can start like modifying. Again, sorry if you can hear my dog. He's been going crazy this last couple of days. Cool. Now don't worry about the cut here. I think this curvature is a little bit weird though, so I'm gonna go to the edit curvature. I'm gonna try to straighten this a little bit more, again, because we want this to be really form-fitting here. And I don't really like that point. I think I might even change the point, or just add another point, like let's say there and there. And then of course we need to, actually let me grab these points again. I'm gonna add one That's fine. I mean, we do have we do need a little bit of room here because the dress tends to be quite intense later on. So I think something like that works okay. Cool. So we're gonna grab this guy. We're gonna use the arrangement points, and we're gonna get it as close as possible to the front side. I think that's a good fit right there. Let's bring it down a little bit just to again get it closer to the body. We're gonna hit Control C, Control R, or over here. So Control C, Control R. There we go. And we're gonna of course activate the symmetric pattern with sewing, and we're gonna sew both halves together. Give me just 1 second. Cool. So now the only thing we need to do is we need to grab both patterns, this part right here, and we need to bring it all the way down because usually these dresses, they're really, really, really close to the ground. We might need to change this a little bit once this thing actually simulates, but this is a good approach. So now let's trace the back of the character. And again, I'm gonna follow the black lines. Ignore the blue lines for now. I think some of these blue lines are meant to be like the main pattern that you cut, and then you like continue like trimming from there. But the black lines are a little bit closer to what we're looking for. So a little bit of curvature there, 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 and then straight, straight, and all the way down. Now you saw there that the line is not perfectly straight, so let's go to transform point segments. Select both points, right click, align to point y-axis. There we go. So now it should be fairly nice. We are gonna of course grab the pattern. Let's move it to the side over here. As you can see, we're trying to match the same like high points there. If we see this, like you can imagine this is like if we're seeing it on the back of the character, you can see that these points are again not exactly where we would like, right? So having this right here is really, really helpful because I can just again grab this point, for instance, and say, you know what, the shoulder has to be a little bit wider. So let's go right about there. This one, that one's fine, like a little bit high, probably a little bit lower though, something like that. This one has to be like over there. And then, I mean, the curvature I'm not that worried about, but I know that this thing is definitely gonna go lower. So first, let's select both points, right click, align to x-axis, and we're gonna move it so they match the same length on the back. Again, I'm not really that worried about this curve because we can modify it later on and help with the general fit. But yeah, that's looking a lot nicer. Let's bring it here. Control C, Control R to mirror this. Click on one, click on the other, right click, and we're gonna, of course, symmetric pattern with, apply symmetric pattern, or just, yeah, activate the symmetry on those things. Let's get them. I would say I'm gonna place them there, and then manually just like bring them down. There we go. Now, one of the things that I noticed about this dress is that we have a very, very slim like connection on the shoulders. Just a very slim, which is this one right here. That's why we needed a little bit more room on this side. Actually, I might need to change that. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to grab that point. Just move it like probably about there. Just a little bit wider so that we have enough connection points, right? Because otherwise the cloth's not gonna work as nice. Now we're of course gonna go to free sewing from the out, and then, or sorry, in this case we're gonna do the other way around. So from the outside towards the inside, and the same thing over here on the other one, of course. Or let's just do this. There we go. And if we simulate, you can see that this thing goes well together. Now we can of course use our segment tool to sew both of the back pieces. And there we go. So the beginning of our element is working interestingly. Now this section right here, this is super important. That's why I added the point right here where the little insertions begin, because that point is going to be like super critical to the whole thing. So I'm going to go here to our free sewing, and we're going to go from here down. We're going to go from here down. Now, when we simulate, as you can see, we're going to be closing the dress and mwah, beautiful dress. Beautiful, beautiful dress. Super form-fitting. Look at that. Amazingly looking. Looks pretty cool. We're not going to need any darts back here. Like, it's perfect. Because we already have a dart. This is a dart, remember? We've talked about this. This is a princess dart. So we are modifying the things a little bit because as you can see here, it's asking us to add like a couple darts in the front and stuff. Like you could see that there's like a dart there on the breasts. I don't think we need it. Thanks to the cuts that we just added, I don't think we're going to need that dart. Now, if you want to add it though, feel free to do it, especially if you want to have like a nice little seam line. But we can add that at the very end once we add like this sort of like paneling on the front. Now, the one thing I don't... No, it actually looks quite nice. I was going to say is that this neck was not looking great, but it does look nice. It does look nice. So let's do the sleeve right now, real quick. Very easy way to do the sleeve. Just start on the middle. Go out. Go up. Go up. Go up. One more. Click. Go down. Oh, missed that one. There we go. So that we close this. Select the pattern. And I'm just going to select the inner section. We've done this before. We unfold. And if you want this to be super round, just convert to curve print. And there we go. Now, this is important. If I were to select this thing, this pattern won't fit my arm. Okay, it's too small. It's too small. So I'm going to place this to this side. I'm actually going to grab the backs. Let's give them a little more space. And we need to change the length of the armhole, the armhole that we have right now. I do think it's a little bit too like tight, so she wouldn't be able to move her arms that much. So I'm gonna go into the transform patterns here. I'm gonna move this thing a little bit down, and same for this one. Just gonna give it a little bit more room there on the arm. There we go. That's a little bit more comfortable. You don't want this thing to be like cutting into the character, right? So that's a lot nicer. Let's check the length. So if we take that one and that one, you're going to see that we have a 338.8 length. And if we check this one, it's 245.6. So a very quick way to do this is just change the length. So just change the length. I'm going to say 238.8. We're going to do both. And as you can see, this is going to expand the curvature both ways. Now, it might not be the perfect curvature, as you can see. So we might need to edit the curvature. Edit curve point. We might need to just like move things around, or we can use another technique that I really like, which is just scale this thing. We can just do on the center. Remember, you just double click. So we expand, and if we take a look at the element here, 290, that's still too low. Let's do the selection again. Probably about there. Let's check. 348, okay, that's getting closer. We want 388. And again, this is one of the things, like you see the pattern here, and it might look that that's what you want, but it might not be it, right? Like you might need like a shorter or bigger distance. Let's just double check here. 338, sorry, 338. 340, we're already a little bit too much, so let's bring this down a little bit. Probably a little bit more, if I'm not mistaken. 330, okay, a little bit more on the upper side. Oh. Here, I might be tempted to just do the change length now that we're a lot closer. So 338. Let's do direction both. And let's hit OK. There we go. So now this is 338.6. And again, if we were to grab these two guys, we have 338.8. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like no need to worry about that. I'm going to select this guy, Control-C, Control-R, bring this to the other side. Select both of them, right-click, and symmetric pattern with sewing. I always make that up, or mess that up. I'm going to say Apply Linked Editing. There we go. So now we're just going to go here, Free Sewing. We're going to go from this bottom up, and then from the center down, and from the center down. And as you can see on this pattern over here, the sewing line should be fine. Now, to, of course, make this thing and our lives a lot easier, we select this guy, we turn on the arrangement points, and we bring them to their respective sleeves. So now, when we simulate, ta-da, the sleeves are falling in place. Of course, we're missing one very, very important sewing line, which is the segment from here to here. Now, ta-da. Now, see how nice that fits? If we were to follow what we had on the pattern, this wouldn't be fitting as nicely as what we have right here. Why? Because the model is never going to be the same as the pattern. That's why it's very important to use the patterns, understand that not all the patterns are going to be like this. Now there's a little bit of a point there that I don't like. It looks a little bit weird. I'm curious about why that's happening. It might be because this is curved and this is not. But there's like one piece of fabric, one of the two pieces of fabrics is a little bit bigger than it should. I'm guessing it might be the arm. So I'm gonna get the arm, just gonna make it small, slightly smaller. Let's see if that helps. Huh, not really, right? It's not geometry. Let's go here. It might be this element right here. So one thing we can try is we can try to add a point here, this section, and then let's move that point like that. Create like a small little dart there. It's gonna reduce some of the cloth, reduce some of the tension. Should pinch this thing like back a little bit. I wonder if it's the particle distance. I don't think it's the particle distance. You know what? I think it's this thing that's like pointing out. Either that, or it could also be that the point here, the curvature here, it's a little bit too high. So let's change the curvature. Now, see, it's the union on the top. Okay, so we'll fix it later. But that's because this is just the general blocking so far, right? So the blocking is looking good. Now on the back here, you can see that we do have a little bit of extra cloth now. I'm not too worried about it just yet, so I'll wait and see if we really need to remove some of that with a couple of darts. But I don't think so. I don't think we're gonna need it to do that sort of like changes. Now comes the big part. Now comes one of the important parts, and I'm gonna do the first section in this video just to show you what the next part or idea is gonna be, and then we're gonna be building the back section of the tail. So first, let's save real quick. Don't forget to save. Let's call this night dress in chapter 4. Remember, all of this are gonna be available for you. Of course, they're on your project files, so you can check them out at any time. Now, I'm gonna load the other image, okay? I'm gonna load this image right here, which is the Corte Sirena image. I'm gonna make this quite big. Let's move it to the side. Because as you can see, for us to be able to create a nice like flowing pattern here on the front, we're gonna need this shape right here. So from this intersection point, I'm gonna grab this piece right here, move it to the side so that we can work a little bit better, or actually the other one. So depending on where we want the tail to start, which in this case, based on the other reference, it's about here, right? It's like a little bit below the, or a little bit above the knee, I would say, is where we start getting like the flares. So I'm gonna add a point right about there. Probably a little bit higher, right about there. So I know that this line right here, that's the segment, the main segment that I want to duplicate, and I need to create this sort of like cone shape, okay? So here's how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna select the pattern, select this guy, right click, and we're gonna offset a pattern outline. We're gonna extend this. It doesn't really matter how much, but I'm gonna go a little bit higher, like let's say 500. There we go. I'm gonna hit OK. Now I don't wanna, what's the word? I actually don't wanna create a new thing. I'm gonna create an internal line. There we go. And hit offset. So now I'm gonna select that line, right click, cut and sew. We keep our original like element, but now we have this big pattern right here, which of course is being duplicated. Now following this guy right here, I'm gonna try to shape this element so that it looks closer to that thing. I'm gonna go onto the transform point segments. We can even align it there. Let's move this thing down. And then this point, we're gonna convert to a curve point. There we go. And then we need to change the curvature. So let's go to edit curve points. You can see we have a lot of curve points there. We don't need all of them. So let's start cleaning them up. Oh. So I'm just gonna start selecting them. And to be honest, we only need one. So we can delete all of these points and just leave one point right there. And there we go. So now we're following the exact same flow of the skirt while adding all of this information over here. Okay? Now we're gonna grab this guy, bring it back here, and the only thing we need to do is sew them together. So segment sewing. Oh, it's actually already sewn together. So now when we simulate, look at this. It drapes super, super nicely, and we're starting to get this sort of like mermaid feel. Now, as you might imagine, this thing is gonna be flowing back like this, and it's gonna be combined with all of the remaining tail that's gonna give us this very nice dress here on the back. So again, as I mentioned, it might seem like it's an easy one, but it is kind of tricky. It's a little bit tricky. It's not as straightforward as other dresses because there's a lot of like special like lines and curves that we need to follow. So make sure to get to this point, guys. I'm gonna stop the video right here, and in the next one, we're gonna explore the back part of the tail. So hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye. Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to continue with the details for our night dress. So this is where we are right now, and it's looking quite nice. We saw how to annex or append these like front skirt right here, which is looking quite nice. It's giving us this very flowy look, and that's the drill with like the mermaid cut. It usually like holds the form of the character really closely, and then it flares out very nicely into a lot of folds, and they're not pleats, but they look very nice. Now, here's the interesting part. As you can see, we have a whole gap here, and that's a no-no. we shouldn't have that gap. These are uncomfortable to walk in. At least that's what my wife has mentioned whenever she wears one of this. And as you can see, the cut pretty much starts right around there, like at the point where we have this thing appended. That's where it's supposed to be starting. So we need to sew this thing all the way back to this thing. I am gonna give her a little bit more room because, again, as I've mentioned, they do tend to be a little bit uncomfortable. So I'm gonna grab this point right here, just so that the tension is not as bad. And I'm gonna push this out just a little bit. Remember, we always fit the garment to the character, not the other way around. So now I'm gonna grab my free sewing tool, and we're gonna sew from this point to that point, which is supposed to be the element, or actually, I'm gonna go the other way around because we've sewn this segment before, so we're gonna go from there to there, and then on this other segment, we're gonna go from there to there, and it should match. It should match perfectly. Oh my God, sorry. Whew. My summer allergies. Well, not summer yet, but spring allergies. So they should match perfectly because every other seam has matched perfectly so far. So you shouldn't have any other element as long as you've kept the distance the same. Now, since we have symmetrical pattern turned on, technically, this should suit to there. Whoa, I think I made a mistake there. Oh yeah, sorry, my bad. I was sewing it from the same place. So let's start down here on the tail and let's go up to that point. And we're gonna go here. Sorry, the other way around again. So from here down, and on the tail we're gonna go from here down. Okay, now when we sew this together, bloop, as you can see, we're gonna get this shorter effect, the shorter cut. Again, that's the part that gets a little bit uncomfortable, but as you can see, the form is fitting a lot nicer. Now, I do want to add just one dart, small dart here on the back. I think that would help get this even more form fitted. So we're gonna go here, dart, and let's just add a small dart right about there. Yeah, that should be good. Let's simulate. Oh, I will forget about this. I get confused because when you insert a dart, it usually does sew it for you. But in this case, it didn't. So there we go. Just a small dart there to, again, make sure that the shape is following her really nicely. And yeah, there we go. So as you can see, now we have a good distance over here. And the next part, the next challenge is we need to create all of the folds on the back, okay? Now, usually this line right here is going to be a little bit bigger, but we're going to change that a little bit later. So as you can see here, this shape is the back. It's supposed to be the back part of this other pattern, which is very similar. Again, mermaid cut. And you can see that's really like weird to understand because we have this weird shape here, and then there's an overlap of another weird shape here. So what this thing is expecting you to do is expecting you to get to this point, which is the point that we're at right now, and from that point onwards, create two divisions and create like a really big block. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to use a similar technique to what we use on the other one. We're going to go onto the segments, We're gonna go onto this segment. First, we need to find the same distance, right? Like we want the distance on both sides to be the exact same distance. So I'm gonna select this distance right here. Yep, that distance. And as you can see, it's 774.6. So I'm gonna go here to the back piece. I'm gonna split. And I'm gonna add by length. I'm gonna say 774.6. And I should set this up to reverse so that that this is the lower section that we get, and hit OK. So now we have a point. Now we're gonna grab that section, offset pattern outline, and let's go really crazy. Again, let's go to like a 50 to start. I mean, we can even go 500, that's fine, and hit OK. One thing before we do that though, again, we do need to create the internal line. Perfect. Now we're actually gonna cut this, so I'm already gonna like cut and sew, so that we have two different patterns right there. You can see that it's going a little bit crazy over here, but that's fine. We'll reset it and we'll be fine. And what I want to do is I want to create this shape. But again, here's where we're going to depart a little bit from the from what we're seeing here, and we're going to go a little bit more with what we get here on the software. So I know that we need this sort of curve shape again down here. So I'm going to grab this guy, convert to a curve point, and I would like this distance right here, 829.9, to be the same distance right here. And fortunately for us, we do have the tool to do that, which is change length. So I'm going to say 829.9. I'm going to change this from start to end so that it extends it forward. And that's it. Why do we need the same distance? Well, because I want to make sure that when we sew things together, this thing gets to like the proper place, right? Because otherwise we're going to get crunchiness, and we don't want crunchiness. We want things to be as nice as possible. Now, this curve is not working, so I'm going to have to move this point back or down and start creating or changing the curvature so we get this sort of effect. Usually on the mermaid cut, you have a lot more distance like down here. That's why I mentioned that we were going to change the length of this pieces right here very, very shortly. So yeah, as you can see, now the only thing we need to do is fix this curvature to have a little bit of a nicer, rounder curve. So let's go here to edit curvature. And let's play around with the curvature here just to get a nicer effect. There we go. Let's give it a go. Let's simulate real quick. And we're getting a lot of crunchiness. Why is this? You guys know this. You guys know the answer. We're getting a lot of crunchiness, of course, because the place where we're sewing to, which is this place, 774 against 1,000 and all that stuff. So I'm going to grab these two guys, and we're just going to move this thing down. And I want to get to, this was what? 1269. So again, select these two guys. Just push this down until we get as close as possible to 1269. There we go, 72 is fine. So now, when we redo this, as you can see, we're gonna get a lot nicer, like a nicer effect right here. Cool. Now we're also getting a crunch in the front there, which is a little bit concerning because we shouldn't be getting that crunch. I think I saw the wrong piece, this thing right here. I think I saw it to a very small section right there. So let's go into edit sewing. And I don't know why there's a sewing there. We shouldn't have that one. We should let this flow, as you can see. There we go. Now this line right here, that line right here, we're going to sew to this section right here. Now again, we need to make sure that we're sewing things to the proper lines. So I'm not sure if I'm going way too high on this one. We might be, huh? We might be going a little bit too high. So let's start with our segment first. So we're gonna go from this segment to this segment. Or let's start from here to here. I think I turn off the seams. There we go. And the threads. I was playing around with some options here, and I think I turned a lot of things off. Yeah, everything should be showing now. Okay, is that working? That seems to be working. Let's simulate. Yeah, okay, so it's going to where it's supposed to be going, but as you can see, we have a lot of extra space here that we're not, we didn't consider. And there's a couple of ways to fix that, of course. First, let's see. I'm going to simulate a little bit just to see how this thing is behaving. I think did we control C the... Oh yeah, I think we control C the initial seam. No, we didn't. That's fine. Yeah, so maybe we just had like the wrong dimension. So what I want to make sure here is this piece right here should be sewn onto the back like we're doing here, but we're missing this spot right here. And again, there's a couple of ways in which we can do it. We could even create like a separate piece. I think it's this section right here that we're missing. So it's 267.1. So let's do it. Let's just do another piece. I'm gonna go here with the polygon, or sorry, with my rectangle. I'm gonna say 267.1. Hit OK. And the length, we already know the length. The length should be, if we check the segments, it was 829.9. So we grab this, and let's grab this, 829.9. Or as close as possible. Like a couple of decimal points is not going to hurt. Now, we, of course, I mean, we can leave it like this, just like a rectangular one, but we've been following a curve, right? Like throughout the whole thing. So it would be a really nice idea to do the same thing, like have a little bit of a curve here to add a couple of more folds. So I'm going to go to my slash and spread, remember this one? And we're going to go straight here. Doesn't matter which side, and just give it a little bit of curvature, like that. Now, with my free sewing tool, we're going to sew this line to this line. And with our segment sewing, we're going to sew this to this and this to this. Let's make sure that things are looking nice. Let's simulate. Whoa! It exploded. Let's give it a chance and see if it manages to like solve itself. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. No, I think my sewing is wrong. So let's go back. Let's grab this guy. Let's help it a little bit over here. There we go. So the upper sewing line is fine. It's the brown one that's wrong. So let's edit the sewing again. So if my calculations are not wrong, this guy should go there. Yeah, there we go. And this guy should go there. Perfect. Now we simulate. And we get that extra piece of fabric in there. There we go. And we're getting this really, really nice mermaid cut all throughout our character. A lot of wedding gowns or wedding dresses also share this sort of like approach. It's very, very common. So now I'm just going to Control-C, Control-R to create a duplicate of this thing. Let's, of course, bring it to a position. Let's very quickly sew it in place. I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup here because my patterns are getting a little bit crazy. So this is front skirt, this is side skirt. Let's do it like this, so we can follow the logic. This is front skirt, and this is side skirt. So now it should be a lot easier to know that this guy, of course, goes here, and this guy should go like here. There we go. That one, I really don't want to move it. I want to keep it on the back. Now at least we know that these guys are part of the front. Let's grab these guys. Oop. Move them to the side. See how much fabric we need for this kind of dresses? That's why they are so expensive. Because there's a lot of fabric and a lot of work that goes into them. There we go. Okay, so now, of course, if we simulate, you're going to see this. We're just missing the last free sewing tool. So again, here, free sewing. We go from here to here, and from there to there, the last little point. That way, we're also not stretching the dress as much, and we get this very nice, sexy V shape on the bottom part as well. And that's it. That's the mermaid cut. Now, if the tail is too long or too short, or it's not going exactly where you want, this would be the point where we would modify the curvature to make sure it looks as nice as possible. Now, let's bring back the other background image that we had, the original one, the red one. Okay, there we go. And you can see that we have a couple of things that we need to change. First of all, we have the transparency and the transparency cuts that we have, and of course, the red color and stuff. I do think that my final like insertion point is a little bit too high now. Remember when we make we made it a little bit more comfortable for her? I think it was way too much. I mean, it doesn't look bad, right? But yeah, it's not as form-fitting down here as I might want. But that's fine. We're gonna leave it like that for now. Now, we're gonna add a new fabric. This is gonna be the base red. And we need to look for a fabric that actually makes these things a little bit stiffer, because right now they're very silky, very smooth, very flowy, and the cloth is usually not that intense. So for instance, this cotton heavy twill, as you can see, it has a very sharp effect, and it's not as wrinkly. You can see on the previews, when you hover over the elements, you're gonna see the previews of the cloths, and that's gonna allow you to see like how nice or not they look. So I think I'm gonna add this one. Just go here. And we can grab all of the patterns and hit this little button to apply to all. There we go. This is how it stiffened up a little bit, and now we have like better pillars on the fabric. That looks quite nice. And now for this one, I am of course going to change the color. Let's go for like a dark red. There we go. That's of course going to start looking very nice. One thing I'd like to do is pose her, but we're going to wait until the very end to do that. Now for the cuts, very easy, very easy. We're going to go into our internal polygon line. And we're going to go from this border to the armpit. To the armpit. There we go. And on the back, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to go from like this point, which is was the sewing line, remember, to this point. That's why sewing lines are so important. They allow us to find the points very easy. I think that one actually a little bit too forward out. No, it is that one. It is that one. So let's go there. There we go. So now for the inner section here, for like there's like a little window on the side that again makes it nicer. We're gonna add a couple points, and we're gonna stop right about there. It's gonna make the whole figure look a lot slimmer. At any point, remember, you can go into the points themselves, and modify the points. So just, I think that's a little bit too much. Let's bring it in a little bit more. There we go. That's nicer. Simulate. There we go. Stop. And we're gonna do the same thing over here on the back side, on the back pattern. So we start on the armpit. We go out, and let's go there. Now, if you fail, or not fail, if you miss, sorry, that's not the right word. If you miss, don't worry. We can just grab the point again and move it to where it's supposed to be. See? So, no big deal. Now, of course, we are gonna go into the edit pattern, select the lines, right-click, cut and sew, right-click, cut and sew. Go over here, right-click, cut and sew, right-click, cut and sew. And now the sections are separated. Now we need another element, so I'm actually gonna grab this base red that we were using before, and I'm gonna add like a slightly brighter red, right? So this one, and we're gonna grab all of those patterns. So those will like transparent patterns that we have here and here, and I'm gonna apply it to them. There we go. Of course, the sleeves are also going to be applied that base red. And what we need to do now is we need to use something called an opacity map. For those of you that are completely new to textures and stuff, let me show you. An opacity map in 3D is a black and white map that we use to tell elements where texture is and where texture is not. So for instance, very commonly in trees, leaves, and all this stuff, you're going to have this sort of like a cutout of a leaf. And in the game, you're going to see the only the thing that is white. So very important, the white color is what's going to be seen. That's called the opaque surface, and everything else is going to be transparent. So I made it easy for you guys, and you're going to find in your source files this thing, which is a black and white image called the alpha. So if you select this one and you apply it to the opacity map and hit OK, open, this is what's going to happen. You're immediately going to get this very nice effect where the flowers are just creating this pattern. And it's a tileable pattern, as you can see, so it's going to repeat. Yes, we're going to have a couple of seams separately here and there, but as you can see, it looks really nice, and we're getting a lot closer to our dress right here. Now you can see the scale on the dress is way higher, so let's go to our texture tool, And selecting this piece, I am gonna not rotate. Huh, it's weird. I think it's trying to go into... I thought we could modify it from there. I don't think we can in this part. So let's see here in the opacity map, transformation. There we go. I think if we lower this, or in this case, I think if we increase this, let's go to like 500 and 500. Okay, we see the bigger pattern. That's way too much. Let's try 100 and 100. There we go. That's a little bit nicer, a little bit closer to the scale that we have here on our reference. And of course, if we simulate, well, everything's going to be moving very, very nicely. So yeah, that's it. Now I do think this opening is a little bit too much. You can see we're seeing a little bit of her bra. So we might need to change that a little bit. And the way to change it is, of course, to go into the pattern itself, go into the curvature, and just like make the curvature smaller, and then go into this curvature and make it a little bit bigger. And that's gonna, of course, reduce the amount, and now we shouldn't see her bra as much. The darts, I think, are a little bit too low. So let me grab the darts here. Let's go into add pattern, select the darts, move them a little bit higher. Let's try that. There we go. Like those wrinkles that we're getting there, I kind of like. I think they add to the overall shape of the dress. Now we haven't changed the particle distance. We're still working with a very high particle distance. So that's 20. Eventually we're gonna change this down to probably like a 10 or something to make this thing look even nicer. Now, of course, we can add seams on this, guys. You know, the drill, clone, over, under, or we can like create like the external line and add a little detail. But I don't want to drag this part of the tutorial as long. So feel free to add more of those details to the character. The one detail that I do want to add are the skirts. Remember on the concept here, she has like another layer of like a fluffy semi-transparent skirts. So I'm gonna grab this color. I'm gonna copy it. Let's call this base red alpha, and this one's gonna be called base red details. Or sorry, not base red skirt. There we go. So this one, I'm gonna click this little garbage icon to get rid of the what's the word, of the alpha, and we're gonna reduce the opacity to about 50%. So it's gonna look semi-transparent, and that's what we would normally do. Would normally do this in any sort of like rendering engine to make things look a little bit more see-through, more transparent. So now, of course, we need to grab the patterns, all of this patterns, and I do want them to be sewn on the positions that they were, but I want them to be over, right? So I'm gonna hit right click. I'm gonna say clone, layer clone over. Let's bring them up here. And here's where the a little bit of the tricky part is gonna come. So we know that if we just leave this here, these things are sewn together to the lower layer, right? They're sewn together to the lower layer, and that's a problem. So I'm actually gonna go into the edit sewing tool, grab all of the sewings and delete them. Like this, these patterns are now free flowing. The first thing I want to do is I want to connect the patterns. So I'm going to go to my segment sewing, and we're going to connect this pattern to this pattern, this pattern to this pattern. We're doing this right? Yes. Oh, there we go. This pattern to this pattern. Then we're going to connect the back patterns. As you can see, the back patterns usually would be connected to this inner pattern, but in this case, we're going to connect them to themselves. Like that. And now we're going to connect this pattern here and this pattern here. And if my calculation is right, everything should be following the proper position. You can move them around. I'm actually going to move them around a little bit, because I really want to make sure that things are sewing to the place that they should be sewing. Otherwise, this is not going to work as intended. Oh, that's not the one. Okay, see how that one still has some stitchings from the past version? So those stitchings that you're seeing there, those are no. We need to delete those stitchings. So I'm gonna go here to edit sewing. Let's see if we can select that sewing right here. Which one is it? It's this one. So let's just delete it. There we go. So they should not be sewn to anything but themselves. It's just the final skirt. So it seems to be working now. I am gonna select all of the patterns and add this red skirt, which is gonna be semi-transparent, as you can see. We're gonna be able to kind of see through it. And here's where the tricky part is gonna come. We need to sew some of them back into their old like elements right here, which we still have. So first, I think we might benefit from linking them. So let me see, symmetric pattern with sewing, symmetric pattern with sewing, and symmetric pattern with sewing. There we go. So that now, what happened there? It seems like I separated that piece or something. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to use, again, our free sewing tool. And we're going to start sewing a little bit, not all of it. For instance, here on the front lines, I'm just going to sew like probably like 20 centimeters, something like that. And that is going to be sewn to that piece, okay? So now this thing should be sewn there. It seems like this didn't do it. That's fine. Let's do it manually. Shouldn't change the thing. So 2-9. 2-9. Now the next ones we're gonna sew completely. So from here to here, from here to here, and then this one we're just gonna sew a little bit of this part. So from here. No, actually that one, yeah, no, we do need to sew it a little bit. So let's go from there again. In this case, I gotta get a little bit longer. So let's say 374, 377, that's fine. There we go. 372. There we go. So let's save real quick before anything bad happens, because there's gonna be a lot of simulation right now. Could get a little bit tricky. But technically, if we simulate now, we should have a layer of like a semi-transparent layer of cloth on top of everything else. Now, as we've mentioned before, the rendering in this system or in this element is not as good. So, seems like we're getting some problems there on the inner cloth. But yeah, that would be the way to do it. That would be the way to add another layer of element here. I'm gonna stop. Let me Control-C. I'm not sure what happened here. But easiest way to fix this is just like grab them and move them out. It's kind of like telling Marvelous, hey, try again. Try again. Get enough like time to simulate. I'm not sure if we're getting like extra simulation or something. I think something happened. Like, I'm really concerned about this garment right here. Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna grab this guys first. I'm gonna set them their layer to 1 so they don't interfere. I'm gonna freeze them. Good thing that I can show you how to troubleshoot as well, because you're gonna find a lot of these things happening. Let's simulate just this skirt. See, okay, so yeah, something changed there on this skirt. So let's Control-C. This guy right here is going crazy. I'm not sure why though. Best thing we can do is just right click, say remove like editing. We can isolate this for just a second. Grab everything else, like everything else, and I'm gonna freeze, and then select this guy and just reset it to the pattern. Just bring it back. Take a look at the stitches. Make sure that they look nice. So top stitching goes properly, back stitching goes properly. Yeah, so the stitchings do look good. Okay, so let's select all of this upper guys. Control K to unfreeze. Let's simulate. That's really weird. I didn't have this mistake. I know that I normally like to record everything, guys, so I'm gonna stop real quick. Let me solve this before we finish this chapter, and I'll tell you what happened. Okay, so I was able to solve it. It was just the live linking that was still active from the layer clone over that we did. So you want to eliminate that one as well. It's just, we're just copying the patterns in this case. Now, yeah, you could just like copy and paste them. Maybe that would have been a better idea, but it's another way. Now I rebuild the elements here. I am gonna grab all of these guys, Control K again. I'm gonna grab this guys right here. I'm gonna say reset 3D arrangement. Nope. So, I mean, that's fine. We can just leave them like that, because I'm going to select all of these guys. They're already sewn between each other. Let's change the layer to like a 2 to make sure they are pushed like out. And I'm going to move them out, like get them really out of the dress, because they're having a couple of collisions there that I don't like. So sometimes it's just better to, since it's a like loose fabric, it's a little bit easier. Now, let's do the free sewing again real quick. So free sewing from here, we're going to go like 235, 223, that's fine. 1. And then similar one on this side. There we go. This one should go exactly the same. This one should go exactly the same. And this one, remember, we only grab the outer edge again. Like a little bit longer. Let's do like almost 400. Almost 400. There we go. So that should sew it, as you can see, to the sides of the element. And now we're going to have this very nice extra fabric flowing around. Now, technically, we could or we should be able to simulate here, even though it's frozen. And yeah, there we go. Now the fabric is falling nicely on top of the other elements. Let's stop the simulation. Let's grab everything else again. Control K to unfreeze. And finally, we can let this rest. There we go. So now there's no overlap. There's no like bad elements or anything. And yeah, now that the layers are properly done, we can again select this upper patterns, change the layer back to 0. That one as well. And hit play. So now everything should, as we allow more time of simulation, everything should fall into place. And yeah, we just missed the alpha channel back here. Let's stop the simulation. Add the alpha channel to those patterns. Oh, they're frozen, sorry. So Control K again. There we go. And that's it. We just got everything. I am going to give this 10 particle distance to every single piece, which of course is going to make this quite heavy. But now we can actually go into a pose. So let's go avatar, female B2, poses, and let's go for this like show off pose. So pose only, and the simulation will start, and the garments should start like flowing into position. And there you go, guys. If you've managed to get all the way to this point, congratulations. You have the first 3 dresses. We're just missing one more dress for our girl. Don't worry, the last dress is actually very simple. It's a very like stiff dress. The cloth is not going to be as intense, and it's going to finish the story arc of Camila. Camila, right? That was her name. So yeah, after going to the office and then to a date, to a nice party, we're finally going to go to the wedding. So that's it for now, guys. Hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye. Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to continue with the wedding dress, the final dress for our character, the final dress of our story. And we're going to be doing a fun one. So in this case, we're actually not going to be following a pattern in the same way that we followed the other patterns, because this is actually a slightly more, it's not complicated. It's gonna like combine all of the things that we've learned so far, but we're going to be doing a modification. So since we already did a long dress for the night date, I was thinking about doing this one right here, and this one has a free pattern. Is there on your chapter folders. I'm gonna be using it as well. But what I really like about this, and by the way, this is a great site. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before, but the Mood Society, is a perfect place to get like free sewing patterns. The only thing is you need to sign up to their mailing list. After you do that, you get the free patterns, and they even come up with instructions. So if you're completely new to the world of tailoring, as most of the 3D artists are, make sure that you get yourself a subscription on this thing, because it really helps you understand a little bit more how it works. Now, not all of this is going to be translated, of course, to the main to the main work, or to the main characters, but it's gonna give us a nice effect. So yeah, this is the one. So let's bring our avatar. Let's go for Camila. There you go. Just open. And in this case, instead of using the pattern, I mean, I am gonna bring the pattern because it's always important to see what we need and what we're doing. I got this one for you, by the way, guys. It's called the Cosmos pattern, and we're gonna say 200 here. There we go. So let's move it a little bit to the side. I think 200 should be more than enough. Again, we're not going to trace it. We're just going to use it as a reference, because trying to trace something that's form-fitting, it's impossible. Believe me, I've tried it. It's really, really difficult if you try to create like a core set following patterns and then trying to get it on the avatar. Not going to work. You're going to have a huge headache, and it's going to be really, really difficult to do. So instead, what we're going to do is the following. We're going to go to the garment section, and we're going to bring in a t-shirt. So we're going to add it. Okay. And now we're going to make it a little bit smaller. It's a little bit too big right now. And we're going to simulate. So there we go. Now, why a t-shirt? Well, a t-shirt already has the sort of form that we're looking for. And it's going to be a lot easier to, to like replicate or duplicate this guy right here than it's going to be to like make it from scratch. Now, we don't need the sleeves. As you can see, the dress is sleeveless. So we don't need the sleeves. This is all we need. And the first thing we need to do is we need to create like a core set. We need to create this thing and make it look as nice as possible. So give me just 1 second here. So as you can see here on the image, the main section, like the body section, is again pretty much like a corset, right? It's gonna be very form-fitting. We're gonna have a zipper on the back. We haven't talked about zippers before. They work in a very similar way as with buttons. Well, we're gonna have a zipper on the back. So this, as you can see, is gonna be my front panel. Now, the front panel, as you can see, has no seam. It's a mirrored element. So we're gonna start with that. We're gonna start like tailoring this sort of shape. I don't worry too much about the these things right here. The what are they called? Oh, I always forget about that. The name of those things. Lace. It's called lace. It's called this like very nice transparent fabric. So we're not gonna worry about the lace just yet. Right now, I'm gonna be worrying about the lines that we have right here going through the arms and into this very nice cleavage on the front with like a heart shape. So if we go here to the character, the first thing I'm gonna notice is that, well, we need an internal line. So I'm gonna go to my internal lines, internal polygon lines, and I know that we're gonna go pretty much from the side of the arm, like right about there, and then we're gonna go up, follow the shape of the bust, and then finish right there on the center. Well, let's go back and double click. There we go. Now that's roughly the shape. One thing we can do here, just to give us ourselves a little bit of an idea, is we're gonna add a new fabric, and this new fabric, let's make it like black, and let's bring the opacity down to like 50%. So I'm gonna grab that line right there. Well, not yet. I would like to grab just this pattern, because we're going to be adding that new material to the top area so that we can get like the sort of like transparency look. But right now it looks a little bit low here on this side. So I'm going to go here and we're going to start changing the curvature. So let's go to edit curvature. Probably going to go like this, cover a little bit more of her breasts. Change the curvature here. That looks a little bit better. And there we go. Now, again, if we check the reference, right here, you can see that we have a line going right here, which is kind of like a dart. We've talked about this ones before. They're kind of like princess darts, right? Because they're going to, again, remove some of the fabric that we have like floating right here, and they're going to make the whole thing look a little bit nicer. So I'm going to go, again, with my internal polygon line from, yeah, about that point all the way down. Let's start all the way down. Just hit that, and then I'm going to go to edit point or add point spline, like right about there. And here's where the pattern comes into play, because we can go to the pattern and see, okay, this is my front bodice. Okay, this is the front part of the body. Actually, this one is the front part of the body, or the side part. As you can see, this this is the front lace. Sorry, this is the front lace. So this one right here, as you can see, that's the sort of like the cleavage point. I think that's the one. No, sorry, this is the side front. So you can see we do have a curvature right here, okay? So we do want to add a sort of like a dart in that specific area. So now it's a good point to actually like split this thing. So I'm gonna go into the patterns again, and let's select our pattern lines here. Right click, cut and sew, right click, cut and sew, right click, cut and sew. There we go. And with these points that we have right here, again, if we simulate, it's going to be pretty much the exact same thing, right? Like nothing is really changing. But if we start moving this thing, we know what we can do, right? We can move this thing out and this thing in, and that's going to create a nice dart. Look at that. Now we can change that dart to a curve point on both sides, and we can start playing with the curvature. So edit curvature. Let's push this curvature in and in. And there we go. Look at that. A lot more form-fitting. Now, one thing that you're going to notice is down here, we have a really ugly effect. Why? You need to understand this. Every time we add a dart, it's like pushing or rather pulling from specific points. So the curvatures on other parts of the piece might change. So in this case, we need to bring this point down a little bit. And not only that, actually, yeah, I mean, we need to bring the point down. So that point, we need to bring it down a little bit. A little bit more, and we need to change the curvature on this thing right here. So we need to give it a little bit of curvature. This one you usually want to keep it at 90 degrees, and then with the curvature again, we bring it up. There we go. So now we have a nice like curve here on the front. If you want this to be completely straight, we can also do that. This one is completely straight, but we're gonna have a belt. So I think I want to keep it kind of like round. Feels like it. I feel like it looks a little bit nicer. But again, feel free to change it in any way you see fit. So as you can see here, we're gonna need a dart, right? Like that's another piece where we're getting a little bit of fabric. Now I'm not too worried about that piece just yet because I know from the reference that we're gonna have a side bodice right there. So on that line right there, right where that thing is, we're gonna have a line, and then we're gonna create another line over here, and we're gonna delete this initial line over here. So let's go, let's do that. Let's go to the side panel. Actually, we don't have a side panel. This is a side panel. So let's go here, and we're gonna pretty much do is we're gonna add another internal line. I would say about, I mean, I'm trying to find like the specific point. I think somewhere around there should be fine. And just hit enter. Then no, it's a little bit too, I mean, it's not that bad. It's a little bit too like forward. Let's try that one right there. Yeah, that's way better. Even if we get like a really small element right there. I'm not sure. I think I want to do it right here. Yeah, let's do it here. A little bit like on the outside, because otherwise this panel is going to be super small. And again, if we take a look at the pattern that we have here, we do have a side panel, which is where is it? This one, side bodies. As you can see, it's shorter. It's shorter than the than the rest of the element. Now we're of course going to have another cut, like right about there. And now it's a matter of course, cutting and sewing those things. So those are the little panels there, and cutting and sewing those things. Now that we've cut and sewn those things, it would be a good idea to get rid of that line that we have right there. So I'm gonna go into again into my segment options, select this line right here, and select, that's the right one, so it's this one right here. I'm gonna right click and hit merge. So now it's a single panel, okay? And now that we have the single panel, again, we can check the fit. It's not that bad, to be honest. And I am going to go for like a slightly like thicker cloth later on. Like this thing that I'm seeing right here, I'm not too worried about because, again, this is the lace that we're going to be changing or modifying later. But yeah, that kind of looks nice. This, of course, is a lot of cloth over here. So we're definitely going to have a dart on the back side of things. So on this area, let's add that dart. So I'm going to go here to add a point. Let's go. I mean, we could just, if we want to be like super even, the best idea, of course, is to just grab this guy, right click, split, and say uniform split. Okay. Select this one, split, uniform split, and OK. That way both points are in the same position. We can grab them both. Let's transform them. Double click here. So we scale at the same time. And then grab both of them, right click, and convert to group points. There we go. So now when we do this, again, this is going to be a little bit like better, like a little bit more form-fitting. I'm seeing a little bit too much cloth on this side right here. Let me see if we can reduce it by changing the curvature again. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, this one still like I would say comfortable enough. We can of course make this thing even like wider, and it's going to be a little bit tighter. There we go. And again, if you ignore this piece for now, you're going to see that things are looking quite nice. I do think that the curvature here, it's pinching a little bit, but I think it's because of this piece right here. So we're going to be modifying the top part, the lace part, later on. So you can see that the bodice is fitting nicely. Now let's work on the back portion. Now you can see that here again on the reference on the back portion, there's the back. That's the back lace. Sorry, where's the back? I think you're meant to cut like two pieces of this one, like the back and then the front. So we don't have a dart on the back, but I think we should, right? So you can see all of these things right here. So I think it would be a nice idea to have a dart going on this direction, again, to remove some of this cloth. So I'm gonna go to the back side of our pattern, this one right here. I'm gonna select this line, right click. Let's go to edit pattern, select the line, right click, and we're gonna split. Again, uniform split to keep it even. And remember, any point that you have, if you select a point, can be converted into a dart. Just hit OK, and now we can modify the dart. So let's go, I would say quite high, and let's make this thing a little bit wider here. So when we simulate, we get that effect. Okay, so yeah, there's a little bit of a wrinkle there. It's a little bit kind of expected. If we want to eliminate that one, I think we can bring the dart a little bit higher. I think that's helping. Maybe a little bit more even. There we go. There we go. That looks very nice. It kind of follows the same sort of like patterny look, and it's gonna be in the back. So we really don't care about that one. Now I do want to keep things a little bit straighter on the back side or on the tops here. So well, not everywhere, right? I think I'm gonna go with her underwear line. I think that's a nice like sexy line to follow. And I'm just gonna follow, or I'm just gonna grab like this points right here, this inner points. And let's bring them down a little bit. Oh, that's bringing in some wrinkles. There we go. That's a little better. There we go. Now you can see that we have a pinch there. We've talked about this one before. Like, how do we fix it? We can, of course, move these things down, which I think in this case is going to be the option. There we go. So now, eventually, when we add like a nice belt in this area, it will be a little bit easier to just like follow everything. And that's it. That's the pretty much the bodice. Like we have everything here looking quite nice. One thing we could do though is we could just like finish this line all the way to the top, which will still keep the sort of like dart going, and it will keep the paneling. But if you take a look at the reference again on the back side, let me see if there's a picture. There we go. On the back side, we also go like really close. It's like again like a strapless. It's not strapless because we're using this lace as a strap sort of thing. But we are following this thing like very nicely here. You can see some of the wrinkles there. Again, very common. So I do think we need that line. We definitely need that line on the patterns to divide what thing's going to be lace and what thing's going to be, well, non-lace. So in this case, I'm going to grab my, again, my internal polygon line. We're going to go from the armpit. And we're just going to go straight to the back of the character. There we go. Now, as you can see, the dart is really close to the final part, right? To the end of the line. So it might not be a bad idea to just like cut and sew, or just extend the dart all the way to the top. So yeah, I think we're gonna do that. And we're just gonna move it right there. Line circle. That's not letting me. Add perpendicular line on the y-axis. I mean, we can just use our internal line then. Let's just use internal polygon line from here to here. There we go. And now if we want, what we can do is we can just cut and sew that piece. Cut and sew, and then just select that point, delete it, select the point and delete it. And that's another dart, right? So again, if we simulate, shouldn't that be that much of a difference. We're still gonna get our nice bodies, and now we actually have the segments going to where we want. Looks a little bit weird there. Am I missing a sewing line? Segment sewing. Yeah, you can see the stitching there is not going everywhere. So let's select our sewing, edit sewing. Let's delete the sewing, and then segment sewing, and we sew both segments. So now you can see that the seam line actually works and looks the way it should be. Perfect. So yeah, now as you can see, these big pieces up here, we can select the fabric that we selected like earlier, and we can just replace them with this like lace fabric, just to understand that that lace fabric is going to be it's going to be used in this way, right? Like we're going to be using this to build the remaining part of a character. So I'm gonna stop the video right here, guys, with this creation of the bodies. In the next video, we're gonna go with the skirt, which is gonna be quite easy, quite fun. We're gonna do a nice little belt here for our wedding dress. Again, as you can see, we are doing some modifications. Like we're not following this track exactly like the one on the reference. And this is one of the things that I want to make sure you guys understand. You are free to do as many things as you want, as long as it looks cool, as long as it follows the story that you want to tell, and as long, of course, as you're not following like a specific exact concept. So in this case, I think, as you can see, this one is looking quite nice. So hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next video. Bye-bye. Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to continue with the zipper, and we're going to do the skirts as well, as we've mentioned before. So yeah, let's jump into it. Let's start with the zipper, because it's a fun exercise, and I just want to make sure that you guys understand. It's really simple. It's a very similar way in how we do buttons, by the way. So I'm just going to grab these three things right here, move them to the side. And one thing I do need or want to do is I want to delete this sewing that we have right here. So if we delete that sewing, and we delete this sewing right here, what's going to happen, of course, is when we simulate, this thing is going to fall open, right? Which is exactly what I want. Now, I'm going to create a zipper that's going to like combine both elements from one side to the other, because if you guys have seen any corsets are really tight. So if they were like tightened and you try to wear them, it would be impossible, right? So usually they have laces that you like sew together pretty much. But in this case, we're going to be using a zipper. So it's just like a zipper up corset. And the zipper tool is really easy. One thing I do recommend doing is make sure you delete or remove the linked editing for this ones for just a second, so that we can select our zipper tool right here. You're going to click on one side, move it all the way up, click, and then just hit enter, or just, sorry, double click. And then you go to the other side. Oops, let's do that again. So double click, and again, double click, there we go, and then just click down here and all the way up, double click. And automatically, as you can see, Marvel's Designer will place a zipper on the position that we selected. And not only that, it will actually connect it together. So if we simulate, you can see that the zipper is now, well, zippered up, right? So one thing that we definitely want to do is we want to change a couple of things on the zipper. First of all, I think it's a little bit too big. Second, it's the other way around. So you can see the zipper is down here, and normally the zippers are up here. So you can select the zipper in a very similar fashion to buttons and everything. There is a section for zippers over here. I think it's usually, it's not in the buttons. Where is it? Nope, I can't find it right now. It's not the U editor. Oh, that's fine. Let's go back to the fabrics. So anyway, the zippers right here, as you can see, you have the reverse zipper direction. So I'm just going to reverse it. You can see that it's already fastened. So we have the fasten option turn on. There we go, fasten zipper. So it's trying to, of course, fasten the zipper. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We can change the type of zipper up here, like the puller. There's a couple of options here. So let's go for a really like nice one, like small, like kind of like hidden one. You can change the slider as well. Let's go for a more like softer, interesting one. You can change the bottom of the zipper, pretty much everything. And you can change the opposite side. So in this case, if we unzip the object, which by the way you can do here, the only thing is you select this guy and you move it down, following the zipper line. And if you simulate, the zipper is gonna open. So depending on which side you want, like each of the like the lines of the zipper to be, you're gonna get that same effect. Now, personally, in my work, I don't use zippers as much because they are a little bit difficult to bake later on. So I prefer to just do this at the very end on the texture side of things. However, if you want to do this for like previs, like what we're doing right here, it works amazingly, as you can see. And that's it. That's the zipper. Now let's go for the skirt. I do want to add a nice little like belt here on the underside of the character. So of course, there's always a couple of ways to do it. It depends on where we want the belt to be sitting. I think sitting here above the line that we have right now will be the best idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the patterns, all of the lower patterns, like the lower lines of the patterns. I really like the curvature that we have. I'm going to keep it. So all of these patterns, back patterns, well, these are no longer live links, so make sure to select both of them. Right click, and we're going to offset as internal line. And I think we're going to do like 50 millimeters. Is that good or is that too much? I think it might be too much. Let's do 30 millimeters. Hit OK. There we go. We have a nice slim effect over there. Now, of course, one of the things here, the zipper, as you can see, is like taking the belt in. If that's something that you don't want, we might have to delete the zipper and redo it only on the top part. But for now, I'm gonna leave it like that. Or actually, no. Let's redo it. So let's go here to the zipper or to the sewing line. Well, first let's cut these lines. So right click, cut and sew. There we go. So now the full belt is separated from the piece. You can see that I think the zipper gets destroyed pretty much. So we need to rebuild it. So let's go here to the zipper tool. Just click, double click, click, double click. There we go. And on the zipper, of course, we're gonna change the little thing again to a nice easy one, and we're gonna reverse the direction. There we go. So now the zipper's only gonna be there. As you can see, we do need a little bit of an extra piece there, which is weird though. But yeah, otherwise the belt is gonna have an issue there. So I'm just gonna grab this line. Actually, let's grab this pattern and this pattern. Let's make them again symmetric pattern with sewing. And let's just sew them together. So there we go. Cool. So now we're gonna have our belt, and I would definitely be of the opinion that we don't want to have as many cuts on the belt as what we have here. So I'm gonna go into the segment sections and start merging. So merge, merge. As you can see, the belt is going to be round. We've seen this before, and the reason why it needs to be round is, of course, because the curvatures are different, right? So very, very common to have this sort of thing. I wish we could have the curvature tool from Clo 3D. That one's so much better, but there we go. So now our belt is ready. We simulate, things look nice. If we want to change the curvature, we can of course change it, but I really like it, except for that little like point right there, which is that one. So I'm gonna select that point and that point. I'm just gonna convert your curve points, and then we definitely need to change the curvatures a little bit there, and just simulate. Cool. So now, if you want to make the belt thicker, of course, we can just delete it. Or another option is we can just build a new belt with the distance that we have, which is what we're going to be doing with the skirt. Because now what I can do is I can select the segment here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No. Wrong click at the end. There we go. So 755 is our number. So I'm going to create a rectangle, 755. Hit OK. And we know that we need to create this shape. That's why I have the pattern right here. So 755, it's the curvature, the inner curvature that we're gonna have right here on the inside of the cloth. And now we need to create the curvature of the skirt going pretty much all the other way around. So again, there's ways to do this, but probably one of the easiest would be to extend these patterns and then just like merge them so that we create the curvature. So let me show you. First of all, I'm gonna split this. I think it's easier to work with halves. So let's split this, uniform split, hit OK. Split, uniform split, OK. Let's grab our internal lines. There we go. Cut and sew. Now let's delete this guy. Cool. So now we just grab, like this is a half piece, right? So we need to create a little bit of a curvature here, right, on this piece. Actually, now that I think of it, it depends on the type of skirt we're going for. I think we're fine here. So what we need to do is to keep this curvature right here, but like create like the whole like half circle. So I'm gonna use the slash and spread tool. Remember this one? We're gonna go here from the center out, and we're gonna move this thing like this. Okay, oh, a little bit more. Let's try it again. This side, and we're gonna do this. There we go. So now this distance remains the same distance that we had before, right? Half of what we needed, which is 377.5. I am gonna make it a curve point though, so convert to curve point, and I'm gonna start like modifying this so that we match like the same distance that we had before. Actually, I think we were fine here. It's just a matter of moving the curvature. So remember, it's 77.5, but I want to make sure that this looks like as round as possible, closer to our pattern. Now that we have that, it might not be a bad idea to transform this point. So 370, let's go through like about there. And again, let's play around with the curvature. We can push it a little bit in till we get to the 377, or as close as possible. There we go. Now, I think I'm gonna move this segment down. So just to give it more, let's delete that point. Oop. Yeah, let's delete that point. I'm gonna grab this point right here and convert it to a curve point. And now we should be able to, again, edit the curvature here to make it rounder. And like we want this to be like a really, as clean as of an ellipse as possible, something like that. Cool. Now we select this piece, we can right click, and we're gonna unfold. This piece, of course, we're gonna convert to a curve point as well, and there we go. I'm a little bit worried about this line right here, but as we saw before, this is the proper number. So let's see how this sews into the character. Of course, we're gonna do the segment sewing from here to here. Let's move this thing a little bit here, so it's a little bit easier to simulate. There we go. Well, let's move it beneath the hands, because it's gonna fall down and it's gonna go up after that. So not too much of a problem there. Let's go here, and here's where our free sewing tool comes into play. 755 to, yeah, there we go, 754.9. So we couldn't be any more exact. Just do this now, and there we go. Have a very, very nice skirt flowing nicely into the character. Look at that. Some very nice pleats. They're not exactly pleats, but we have this very, very pretty looking effects right here. Now, I don't want this to be a long dress. It's very common for these elements to be a longer dress. So that means that we're gonna have to push this thing out and out. Let's do this. Let's see if we can do this symmetrically. So double click there. Let's make it bigger. And then we're gonna change the curvature again. Now I'm just like hand modifying these things. I know this is no longer exact, but at any point we can just go from this point down and then just unfold. Let's try this. I just want to find the proper length. Almost there, almost there. So let's stop here. And let's go here again to our internal polygon line. Let's just go straight down. Hit enter. And I'm just gonna select the pattern. Let's cut and sew. Delete that one. Unfold. I'm actually gonna, to make this thing a little bit easier to fix and stuff, I'm gonna add another internal line. I'm gonna cut and sew again. And then I'm gonna apply the symmetric pattern with sewing. We need to re-sew a couple of things, because if we simulate this thing, it's gonna just fall down. So let's edit our sewing lines. Let's delete this one. Let's start again. So free sewing, it's from the back. Well, actually, let's start here, from the back to the center, from the back to the center, from the back to the center, from the back to the center. We simulate now. Skirt is falling nicely. Stop. Segment sewing from here to here. There we go. Let's just help this thing unfold a little bit better. There we go. It has a nice little tail over here. I like it. I think I like this height. That way she can show off her shoes. But now what we can do, of course, is we can change the curvature slightly, just to make it a little bit nicer. Like I do like this sort of like front curvature on the front, and then like a little bit of a tail. Like I don't want like extreme long tail for the dress, but just something that looks nice. There we go. Not bad, right? Not freaking bad. Now I think this cloth could be like a sparkly, like fine looking metal thing. So I'm gonna add a new fabric. Let's select the belt, apply the fabric, and let's just go for like a silvery color. So I'm gonna just do a gray right now so that we can see like a nice line. There we go. So I've seen some wedding dresses where they add like a little bit of a metal thing just like hanging on the hips. Looks very, very nice. We have the zipper. And yeah, we're in a really good position, guys. Now it's time that we work on the lace on the top. And I'm considering adding like gloves, but I don't think so. I think this is like a very modern dress, so gloves might be out of the question. But you probably have seen this sort of like gloves where they only have like one little finger or something. Yeah, I think we're just gonna work on the lace. We're just gonna do the lace, and we're gonna do the opening here on the back. So yeah, that's it for now, guys. Hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next one. Bye bye. Hey guys, welcome to the next part of our series. Today we're going to continue with the lace part of our dress, and that's a very simple one, so this is probably going to be the last part of this chapter. Yeah, sorry, let's get to it. And this is where we left off. As you can see, our garments looking nice, and there's a couple things here on the actual dress that we need to take into consideration. First of all, there's this open back on the back, of course. We have a neck. That's also important. We have a little bit of a neck piece. And we have this lace going from, as you can see, from the armpits back. It also goes all the way back to this area. And then it goes to the top, right? So that's one of the reasons why we also did not delete what we had before, like this sort of base that we had. So again, if we take a look at the reference, you guys are going to see that we have this very nice open cleavage on the front. And that's the first thing we're gonna start with. So I'm going to go here with my polygon lines. We're going to go to the internal polygon lines. We're going to go from here, I would say, to like about here. Let's make it round. And probably, like, if we want to have like a nice curvature, to about there. Let's hit enter. Just double click. And yeah, so now that I see the line, I think it might be a better idea to make sure it matches this like apex point on the character. So let's see if we can move it. So I'm gonna again start on the center, and it should go to like about there. There we go. That's a lot better. Now, of course, the curvature is not it's not perfect. I don't particularly like it. The lace will play an important role. Unfortunately, I don't have this particular lace for you guys. We're actually going to be using one of the previous opacity maps that we used. But let's modify the curvature so it looks a little bit nicer. I think something like this looks okay. Now, of course, we're going to sew and cut. So, sew and cut, or cut and sew. And this pattern, we delete. We don't need it anymore. And this is what we're going to have. Now, you can see that now the fit changes slightly because we don't have as much support, but we do fix some of the effects that we have here. Now, one of the things that changes, and I don't like it, is that now we have this sort of like flappy edges here on the top. So how can we fix that? Well, we know that this is extra fabric, right, here on this area. So it might be a good idea to remove some of the fabric on this side and then just push the curvature in. We could also try just moving the curvature. Let's see if that works. I'm a little bit skeptical about if this is gonna work or not, based on my experience. But yeah, see that little like thing right there? That's a no-no. That's something that we want to avoid. I don't want to add another dart. You can see that there's no darts over there, so I don't want to add another dart. But if I want to like benefit or change the fit a little bit, this point right here. Let's just transform point segment. So this point right here, we need to move, but I don't want to change any of the other things. So I'm going to go again to my internal lines. Let's go to internal polygon. Let's see that little like triangle that we have right there. That could be our guide. So we're going to go there and there. Hit enter. And we're going to select that pattern, cut and sew. And delete this piece. Same for this one over here. And with our free sewing tool, because that piece or this piece has no sewing lines, we're gonna sew it to this side. That should push, as you can see, the garment a little bit more, and we'll get less of that effect. Still a little bit too much cleavage there, again, and the resolution is not gonna really change the fact. So we might want to bring this point up, for instance. So this point, let's bring it a little bit up. That will also pull a little bit, and it should help with the overall feel. I still feel like there's a little bit too much cloth there. So we might need to, now that we have this point, it should be a little bit easier to fix. We can just push that one. There we go. And as you can see, we create the stretching. There we go. That's a lot cleaner, a lot nicer. Now the point here might not be now where I want it to be. As you can see, I think I would prefer it to be closer to the side of the character, like on this side, and it's a little bit like closer in. So now that we have this, it might not be a bad idea to grab all of these points, for instance these points, and just push them out a little bit more. Let's move that out. That way we can move this in a little bit, and the fit should be a little bit better. I mean, I think it is gonna look quite nice. It's a very, again, form-fitting thing. Now at this point right here, we don't want that. As you can see, this is we're gonna have the neck. So I would suggest that we have like a square point right there. So I'm gonna add another curve point over there. Just enter, and then edit or transform that curve. Add point spline. There we go. Transform the point. There we go. We're gonna make this straight, and we're gonna segment sew this to this. Yeah, there we go. Now this definitely needs a little bit more particle distance. So just to work on this one for now, I'm just gonna change this to like a 10 particle distance. It's gonna give us a nice effect. There we go. Now on the back here, again following the reference, you're gonna see that the only difference is that we have the neckline and then we have this open thing. And what's that? It's a dart. It's just a dart, but it's an unclosed dart. So we're not gonna sew in that dart. So we're gonna go over here. We're gonna go to add point spline. Let's add a point right there. And then we're gonna transform the segment, move this out, probably a little bit more. right click and just make this a curve point. So convert to curve point. And on the sewing line that we used to have, we're gonna delete it. So there's not gonna be any more sewing lines. I'm not gonna simulate yet, because if we simulate, all of this thing is gonna fall. And of course, that's not something that we want. Yeah, so now let's get the segment length for this thing right here, which is 84. And on this front part, we have 113.6, so that gives us 198. Let's grab a rectangle. It's gonna be 198. And it's not going to be super long, so it's probably going to be like 20 millimeters or maybe 30 millimeters. Hit OK. Let's assign the fabric, the same like sort of like laced fabric to this thing. There we go. We can show the arrangement points of our character. Select this guy. And let's go to the front there. Perfect. Actually, we need to unfold. So let's unfold. Now we select this guy and get it there. Perfect. Of course, we sew one side to the other. And then with our free sewing tool, we're going to go from the center, we're going to go from the center out, from the center out. There we go. From the center out, from the center out. And then from the back center in, from the back center in. And from the back center in, from the back center in. And if we simulate, we're gonna get our neck. It's a little bit too long, as you can see here. It's way more. It is fitting the what's the word? The base of the element that we have, but it's too long on the upper side. So this is where we're gonna have to switch things around. So I'm gonna grab this upper points and then transform them. Double click on the center point, and let's make this smaller so that when it closes, it's like closer to the character. Now, of course, as you might imagine, this is a curve, so we need to change this thing a little bit so that the color flows. I mean, it doesn't look bad, to be honest. It looks interesting. It keeps it like flat and nice on the front, but over here it looks a little bit weird. So if we want to change that, that means that we need more volume on the back, right? Like we've talked about this before. So we're probably gonna change this, like move this up. This is giving me more volume on the front, of course, I know that. So what I'm gonna do actually is I'm gonna grab these 3 points, bring them up, and then grab this point and bring it down. Okay, so now we're gonna have more cloth on the back than what we have on the front, see? So we can keep the front clean and the back a little bit nicer as well. Now, of course, to make this thing even nicer, we can convert this to a curve point. That way the front's gonna be curved. And then back here, again, just to make it curve, we might want to push these things out a little bit. Still too much cloth, so now we're gonna have to keep it in. That looks a lot better. There we go. So sharper look here, nice look over here. Of course, it's gonna be a little bit wider here. We can change everything, remember, at any point we can just start playing around with elements. Now we definitely need to tense this up as well. So we're gonna go to our free sewing tool, and on the back part right here, we're gonna sew from here, or actually let's sew from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, where the zipper is, to there. So now the whole lace is nicely laid out. Perfect. Whenever lace is left like this, you're gonna have this. It's very difficult, unless it's really form-fitting, or unless we add like a couple of darts here and there. It's gonna be very difficult to make sure that lace flows very nicely, because lace is very loose, right? It doesn't have a lot of support because of all of the holes. So don't worry too much about that. Now, this is the detail that I really like. As you can see, it goes from the sort of like the armpit up, and it doesn't cover the whole thing, right? It doesn't go like all the way to the side. So following these bodies again right here, I'm gonna grab my internal polygon line. Let's go to the armpit, which is gonna be this point right here, and we're gonna create a curve going out to about there. It's a lot nicer. The shoulders are gonna be a lot like, yeah, cleaner, I would say. Right click, cut and sew. We select that guy and delete. There we go. Select that guy and delete. Nicer back as well. It's a little bit of a like pointy end right there. I don't think it's that much of an issue, but if you want to like soften it up, well, of course, we're gonna have to go to this points and just like play with them a little bit and move them around. Now, one thing, as you can see here, that looks really, really weird is the fact that this thing is not like it's stopping right there. So easiest way to find like the perfect point is we're gonna select this segment right here. As you can see, it's 58.7. So now we go to the front part, select this one, right click, split by length, 58.7, and hit OK. And we should have, I think it's the other, yeah, is it? No, I think it's the other way around. So select this guy again, split by length, 58.7. I can't see the point, that's weird. And I'm just gonna change this to reverse. There we go, okay? So now we have the point right there. We go to our internal polygon lines, we go there. And I do like the flow that we have there, so it's just a matter of like finding a nice like mathematical curve that flows into the body like this one. Right? So we want the shapes to be nice and clean. Now we select the pattern, right click, cut and sew. Okay, if it's failing to cut the pattern for some reason, that might be because it's not going to the borders. So we can select, again, the line, right-click, extend, trim, and add point to pattern outline. Just be very careful here that we are actually going to the pattern outline. Seems like we are now. Cut and sew. Huh, that's really weird. Am I selecting something that we shouldn't? Okay, let's try just cutting. Fail to cut some patterns. Patterns and are holes intersecting. Huh, that's really weird. Okay, let's try extend and trim to pattern outline. Just try and trim that point to internal line. Like just click everything and see if that works. Nope, it's not working. Huh. Okay, so another thing we could do is we could just keep the thing and add it like an opacity 0 material, but it's really weird. I'm really curious as why that's not working. Let's just delete it and let's do it again. So from there, I'm gonna try and go to the black point. There we go. I don't love this curve, so let's change it. There we go. Sharper curve. Now technically, this should be working. Cut and sew. It's really weird. Let me turn off the live linking or the line to editing. Maybe that's what's causing it. I would be really surprised at that. Okay, okay. It's really surprising that that's what's causing the issue. But whatever. Just delete the live linking again. Yeah, that's really weird because it worked on the other one. Now it's not working on this one. Wow. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. I really don't know what it is. But I mean, worst case scenario would just Control C, Control R. So this back to the other side and then just rebuild our sewings, right? So it's not the end of the world. Let's do free sewing over here. So let's start. What's the distance? It's on the side bodice. So from here to here, from here to here. Am I right? No, it actually goes into the other piece, right? So it's gonna be from here to here and from here there, and then this last little triangle goes to this one right here, the other one, right? Yes. Now, of course, this segment right here goes to this other segment right there. And the color, we're just missing the color. So this segment right here goes to that segment. Cool. So now, wait, nope, my bad. Something changed here. It's trying to go somewhere where it's not supposed to be going. Oh yeah, because it's doing the segment. No, my bad again. Free sewing, and we're gonna go from the center back, from the center back. There we go. So now it should work. Perfect. And that's it. We have our nice wedding dress. Now here, one thing that looks kind of ugly, if you ask me, is the bra. I know that for this kind of dresses, especially with like a really high cleavage like this one, or a really low cleavage in this case, women would wear not bra. Sometimes it's just like a really soft bra on the bottom side. It's part of the design, right? So what we can do here, of course, is turn off the avatar, and there we go. We have this very nice effect. Now, of course, the fabric's not going to be black. It's not going to be black. Let's go for like a soft gold color. I think this is going to look interesting. It's like a pale gold. And again, as a type of like making sure all of the story clicks together, we can go into the opacity, add an opacity map, and we can use the same opacity map we use on the red dress. Remember this one, the alpha? So it's kind of like important, right? The fact that that it's the same pattern that she wore on that special night. Maybe that was the night where she got the ring or something. I don't know. Yeah, you can of course invent the story that you want, and it's gonna be part of the storytelling process. Let's just go here to the texture graphic, and let's just maybe increase the. Oh no, it's over here. So we're gonna go to the fabric, and on the opacity map, let's change the transformation. Let's make this smaller to like a 20, or actually bigger. Let's go to like 200 and 200. No, it's a little bit too much. Let's go half that. 100 and 100. That's a little bit better. So yeah, there we go, guys. We finished our very nice wedding dress, following one of the patterns and doing our own stuff, right? Like adding our own stuff. We have a zipper, we created this whole corset, and of course the skirt. So this is it, guys. This is the end of chapter 4, and as I mentioned throughout the chapter, one of the most important things about, or for me to show you guys, is how easy or flexible it is to work with patterns sometimes, but how tricky it can also be. And it's important that you understand all of the tools that we that have to do with patterns, so that we can create like more interesting stuff. From now on, it's probably that we're not going to use as many patterns. We might use a couple of ones, but we're going to be doing a lot more like free sewing with some more exercises. So yeah, hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next one. Bye bye.